on exactly the way you want. Let's put it into paint. So now you can use the finger just like a paintbrush. That tag operates much like a barcode. So Surface has cameras underneath that are going to see that tag. So when I set it to the Surface, this is connected to the web. It's going to go out and grab your photos in the albums that you have them organized. And now you can play with your photos like you haven't been able to before.
And then you can...
Exactly. So you can resize them. You can make them smaller, bigger. I can watch video. You can watch video. We can do this all simultaneously.
How do I get one of these for my house?
In 3 to 5 years, you may even have that option. So that's a traditional touch screen that you have today, which is one point of touch, and it's pressure-based. This is vision-based, and that allows me to have multi-touch. It also allows me to have object recognition to the Surface using those cameras. So a paintbrush becomes a paintbrush. We've done nothing to that paintbrush. And go ahead and paint. We'll change the color so you can see it. We haven't digitized that in any way. Now we can take that object recognition a step further and we can create visual tags. Now these visual tags operate much like a barcode. You'll see these collection of white dots. Now think of that as when I touch the Surface, it's that dot that it's seeing. If I collect all those white dots into a tag, I can assign particular content to each one of those collections. In this case, it's that animation. In this case, this tag, which is different from this one, offers me that. Now this could be any type of content. It could be video, it could be web pages.
What are those again?
These are visual tags.
Okay.
So think of them like barcodes. Now, you see also that all of this happened without a mouse or a keyboard. It's called direct interaction, and it happens all at the Surface. Now that's a fun, kind of interesting way to look at Microsoft Surface and think about it, but let me show you something that's very relevant to probably all of us, and that's photos. Now we all probably have an online gallery where we store our photos, share them with friends and family. Imagine you get a card from that service. So think of like Flickr or Shutterfly. You get that card and on the back they would print that unique visual tag, or in the future they could use RFID technology. But let's say you go into the Sheraton Hotel, you want to show your photos to your friends. You set this to the Surface in the photo application. This is connected to the web, so it's going to go and grab your photo albums, and now you're able to interact with that content like you haven't been able to with a PC. Today with a PC, if I want to move photos, make them bigger or smaller, what do I have to do? I have to go through drop-down menus, I have to access all these tools. It's not real intuitive and it's not natural, but this is. Those natural interactions that we all use, like making things bigger. In the real world, what do we do when we make this? Probably have a digital camera. I see some here already. Is it always easy or intuitive to get the content from that device? No. In fact, probably a vast majority of us have challenges doing that. So what if I was able to take your photo, smile guys, and since this has Wi-Fi and Surface has Wi-Fi, we can simplify that process by simply setting it to the device and accessing our photo. Wait a minute, there it is. Right? Yeah. There's our photo that we just took. Now notice, we can all interact with this photo and I can share this photo much better than on this camera. This works if it's just maybe us, but this doesn't work if it's all of us. Surface, it works for. Now, we don't just have to share it here. What if we send it to some friends and family that aren't with us? Surface can do that as well since it's connected to the web. So I'm going to access a postcard option, bring up a design. Now the starburst really shows off you guys nicely. So I'm going to go ahead, flip this over, and I'm going to write a message. Again, no mouse or keyboard. All the interaction happens at the Surface. And remember, I'm connected to my online gallery, so all the people I typically email photos to are right there. And there they are. And that gets sent off to Tom. Now if somebody wasn't there, I could pull up a soft keyboard, type in their their email address and send it off to them. Now, just as easy as it is to get content off of devices, in the future you'll be able to get them onto devices with the flick of a finger. Now let me share something that one of our commercial partners, T-Mobile, is planning to do with Surface. So imagine going into a T-Mobile store, and what they want you to do is to pick the right phone for you. It's not always easy when you're presented with that bank of phones, trying to figure out, well, this phone has this feature, and this phone has this feature. Well, with Surface, we can simplify that. Imagine taking a phone off that demo rack of phones, pulling it and putting it onto the Surface, and we put a tag on the back of the phone. So there's content associated with that tag, and it's going to explode the view of that particular phone. And now I can drill into the features of the phone, learn more about it. How many times, though, have I looked at one phone and thought, well, but how's that compare to another phone? Well, Surface allows you to do that comparison much easier. I can now pull that apart and line up the features and functionality that's important to me. And I can determine, well, as I'm looking through this, the T-Mobile Dash, that's a pretty good phone. I think it's going to work for me. So now I can start to configure my phone experience. Now I can do this myself, or I can do this in tandem with a store associate. So if the store is busy, I can get started playing around with it, and then a salesperson can come over. So don't think of this as replacing salespeople, but in fact enhancing the experience that you have and that they can provide for you. I can compare calling plans. I can add that to my phone. I can look at messaging, add that to my phone. I can even look at ringtones. Listen to those, sample those. Today you really don't have an option in the store. Maybe you know the song, so that's the one you go for. Here you can spend hours sampling some of those. And certainly T-Mobile would want you to spend more time in the store to really get a good experience. So I add those ringtones to my phone, and now I'm ready. So I hit confirm. Now this is the demo phone, remember, so it goes back up on the rack, but everything I configured here, this is connected to the back office. Maybe 15, 20 minutes later, the store associate brings out the phone configured exactly the way I just designed it.
What's either connected to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth?
It's both. So transferring content, you'd use Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Recognizing objects, right now we use visual tags. We'll probably continue to use those visual tags over time, but then you'll also start to see RFID and then near-field communications.
You need to have visual tags, otherwise you cannot do that, right?
I'm sorry?
You need to have the tags in order to recognize that, right?
Yeah, so our partners would, so for example, Starwood Hotels is a good example. They might print this tag on your room key, and now, so we've taken the traditional game of a puzzle and we've made it a little more complex. Now, I'm setting out these tiles, and if you catch it in the right light, there is a tag in there. It's fairly transparent. So those cameras underneath are seeing this and delivering unique content in the form of a video. Now, what you've got here is a 50-second looped video that we've cut up into 12 pieces, and your job is to solve this in the least amount of time. Now imagine you're a big puzzle nut, you subscribe to an online puzzle service, and since this is connected to the web, every morning you wake up, you get a new puzzle that you've got to solve. And if you solve it in the least amount of time, because you're being timed, you're the puzzle master of the community. Maybe you rack up points. Or maybe your trip with the family to Disneyland, you put in your own content, and the kids get to solve a puzzle, and maybe they get something for that. So I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to start you out. This is the bottom corner. It's 4 across and 3 high, and I will tell you that it's a little more complex than it looks, because since these are clear pieces, they're double-sided. So you think you may be solving it, but in fact it's just the reverse of the image. So go ahead and try your hand at solving the puzzle.
Go ahead, fill it up.
Well, I like that now, so from beginning to end, you have the ability to go ahead and select your board, customize it,